Okay, the next thing that you guys are going to do is you're going to do a little bit of practice of on-demand writing. So thinking about that video that we watched of Toni Morrison where she talks about the scene between Setha and Paul D, and then also just taking into consideration all of the really good analysis that you guys have been doing in classes that we've been reading, I want you guys to think about writing in response to those 2 pages. So you're going to take about 5 to 10 minutes and you're first going to annotate the passage with your group members, making note of the literary and stylistic features within the passage. So one good thing for you guys to maybe look for is the description of the dough as she's making the biscuits, because that's going to foreshadow what she later talks about. And then also think about the way that she focuses on herself. And then there's also repetition. And then lastly, of course, the back and forth that happens between Paul D and Setha, where Paul D is asking questions and Setha is saying things very matter of fact. And so don't forget also that there's also characterization that happens of Paul D later in the passage. Depending on what you find, you're going to take into consideration these 2 paper 2 questions, and you're only going to choose one, and then you're going to handwrite an intro, and you want to aim for at least 2 body paragraphs. But if you get an intro and 1 body paragraph done, then I think that you're in good shape. And you're going to write that in response to one of the 2 questions based only on these 2 pages. But remember, you can take into consideration everything that you know about the novel in support of your analysis of these 2 pages. So I want to walk you guys through the 2 questions and what you should be thinking about. And then I'm going to let you guys write for about 50 minutes after you have about 5 or 10 minutes to work on your annotations. So for question 1, it asks, to what extent do male and female literary characters accurately reflect the role of men and women in society? So this is going to play off of that video that we watched, and I want you to think about what it is that Toni Morrison is trying to show about men and women within the context of slavery, and whether or not you feel like it is accurate. So for instance, when Junot Diaz says that men are stronger than women, and Toni Morrison maybe suggests that yes, but it's also the fact that men and women have a very distinct understanding of what life is, mothers especially because they're influenced by motherhood. Excuse me. I want you to think about how that flows or how it shows itself within the passage. The second question that asks, how do the conflicts between characters reflect the kinds of conflicts from the time and place in which the texts were written? This is where you're going to incorporate when Toni Morrison was talking about what was happening in the 80s when she wrote this novel. So you're going to write about how Toni Morrison living through this conversation where women were saying that not having children meant that you were free, how that influences the conflicts that happen within this, and where Setha maybe stands for a symbol to the counter argument, and that Toni Morrison and Setha, I think, are in agreement in the fact that being a mother is the ultimate expression of freedom. It does not take away your freedom like what was being said during the time and place in which the text was written. So first, to reiterate, you're going to read over the passage and you're going to annotate it directly on here. You're going to have about 5 or 10 minutes to do this with your group members. And then you're going to have about 45 minutes to 50 minutes to choose one of the questions and write an intro and 2 body paragraphs. You have lots of handouts within your binder, and you can use those to help you as you handwrite this intro and 2 body paragraphs. And you're going to turn in whatever it is that you produce at the end of the 45 to 50 minutes. Good luck. You guys know a lot. Don't discredit yourself. You have a lot of good ideas, and it's just a matter about you practicing putting them on the paper. This is why we're practicing, so that when we sit for the paper 2 in May, you're going to feel confident about having questions put in front of you and having to respond. Good luck. Do well. I know you will.